We're glad to have you back. Now, during President Bola Tinubu's inaugural speech on May 29, 2023, he said his administration is targeting at least 6% annual GDP growth rate, which will be achieved through budgetary reforms aimed at stimulating the real sector of the economy and the GDP no less than 6% growth. An effort to achieve this, he has moved to fortify Nigeria's micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises and invigorate nano businesses with the allocation of 125 billion naira. Now, the financial support to energize the backbone of the economy, that is the MSMEs and, of course, nano businesses. I'm being joined live in the studio by a business enthusiast with Meristem Securities Limited, Dr. Femi Oladele. Dr. Oladele, thank you so much. It's good to have you on the program again.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yes, when I heard this news, I was excited though, because I also believe that MSMEs or small businesses, nano businesses, all of this, they remain the backbone and engine room of any economy that is ready to develop. Government cannot provide the jobs that we need to address these challenges. But first to you, 50,000 naira each for 1,300 nano businesses. I don't know if you want us to start that way or your overview of what the president plans first before we go into further details. What is your reaction to all that the president said in his speech day before yesterday?
Thank you so much. So basically, I think we should start with the fact that it is actually 200 billion for both manufacturing.
Yes, and that's yes. 75, 120, 50,
75.
75.
Yes. 75 to the
manufacturers.
That's 75 manufacturing companies.
Yes.
50 to Nano as a grant, and 75 to MSMEs as a loan at a maximum of 9%. Okay, so I think basically we should talk about what is a nano business. A nano business, according to SMEDAN and MBS, you know, they have this yearly outputs that they give the report, says that it's a business that is owned or operated by 1 to 2 persons and has a turnover of less than 3 million or so. And so we go down the line to micro, to small, then to medium, which is less than 1 billion in turnover. What it simply means is that we are giving 50,000 to possibly non-employing businesses, nano businesses, 50 billion, that's 50,000 naira. I have an issue with the absolute figures because if you calculate the figure, he said 1 million nano businesses across the 774 local governments. Yes.
No, what I have is 1,300.
Okay, so on the whole,
yeah,
1,300 per local government. Okay. So if you do that calculation, you would have something around 1 million.
1 million.
Yeah, so it means, and it's not going to be at once, it's going to be from now, which was July when he made the speech, to the end of March 2024. I find that awesome if well implemented. My problem with this is implementation, because what it means is that in Nigeria, we have history where some people who have no business at all running any nano business will just come up
and get response.
And that's like 65 million per local government. If we do the calculation of 1,300 times 50,000, it means that that's about 65 million per local government in Nigeria. So I have fears that this money may not reach the guys who really need them. Secondly, is the issue about the fact that many times when government brings policies like this, I feel that there is a fact that we neglect those who are key stakeholders in that field. Have you ever been, I don't know how strong associations are in Lagos State, but have you ever been outside Lagos State and you need the services of a mechanic and they tell you that, oh, one of their members died, and so everybody's
not working.
Is not working. So we cannot say that we don't know these people. They have strong associations. We should not create other organizations to manage this fund. I would advise that government should look at existing structures and use that for the dissemination of that money. If not, it will get into the wrong hands and it won't achieve because it's a grant. If it's a loan that should be repaid, I might have some comfort. But even with that, we know what happened with the Anchor Borrowers Program, which the government released money and we can't find. So we have existing stakeholders. We have SMEDAN, we have NASME, we have APSCON, that's the Association of Small Business Owners of Nigeria or something like that. And we have many others like that. I feel that we should be looking at that. Also, 1,300 nano businesses. My significant fear is this. How are we going to structure it? Based on SMEDAN's report, we have more organizations, more nano businesses in wholesale retails, food and groceries, and clothing. How are we going to structure the 1,300? That's not clearly stated. I understand that the president should not go into the nitty-gritty, but we ought to know how that would be implemented so we can then receive some comfort as to the level of implementation.
It's a good way to start our conversation now, but I want to ask you that how coordinated too are many of the small businesses? Because if government is to deal directly with them, do you think they are well coordinated that they will be able to reach out to themselves, the nooks and crannies of the country?
Okay, so I'm not saying that government should reach out to them directly, but I mean that government
through their associations
are
coordinated, and most of them. Many believe that, you might know better, so just tell us.
Okay, so we have agreed now that if we go to towns where associations are strong, we see that when maybe they lose a member or they're having their meetings, that's so strong. So if that is that strong, it means that they can hold them to account. And I know that many of them have started registering with CAC now. I feel that that's another regulatory gateway that the government can use. Once you ensure that we are going through only registered routes, although my fear with that is that some elites may just take it over, register. We've had a situation in Nigeria where an organization said, oh, we didn't take money, but government said, oh, you took money. And they said, oh, where's the evidence? And they brought evidence that that organization was registered with CAC, and all of the members said they don't know about it. So some people went behind their backs and registered the association and took the money. So I believe that there's a possibility for that. But the best bets that they have right now, because of the issues of financial inclusion, in the rural areas, there are many people who don't find comfort in having bank accounts. So if we go through the associations, through registered...
Despite the Naira crunch, some people still do not have. Some even went back to withdraw their monies after.
Yes, some of them. But with newer players in the banking sector, I don't want to mention names since I'm not advertising anyone, we have seen that people are now beginning to trust the system a little bit, and I believe that that will drive financial inclusion in the system.
Let's now look at other challenges now that our businesses face. Power is one notable one, because many will tell you that it's not just finance sometimes. There are other issues. Even some of these businesses, some are bankable, some are not bankable. And nobody will want to invest in a business that you're not sure of returns. But what's your take with regards to other challenges businesses face, particularly at this time where some are even saying they should allow them breathe?
Okay, so basically, I would say I wanted to make this joke that money answers all things, but we also understand that right now, because of what is happening in the sector, finance would resolve many of those challenges. We talk about infrastructure. Nano businesses, small businesses have been running like their own government. I mean, providing for their own services, power, water, and all of the other infrastructures that help them to breathe, if you permit me to use that. But the truth is that we can see that if finance is well taken care of right now as a short-term policy, it might affect the ability of those businesses to continue to thrive, which is more significant right now. Giving 50,000 naira to, let's say, a mechanic would boost his ability to do more business. Although I was making a presentation recently, and I mentioned that many of these nano businesses might be in debt. So when those monies get into their account, I just pray that the monies are not lifted immediately. Although we also have the fear that they can take the money and some of them will just say, oh, this is national cake, let me just go and take a beer. Let me just go somewhere and chill. and the money just goes away. More so the fact that the president had mentioned that it's a grant. So I have that fear. But we know that businesses are facing significant challenges right now. And those challenges are significant for survival, but they still need finance. No matter what we want to talk about infrastructure with respect to power, with respect to good roads, with respect to logistics and all of those other challenges that businesses face, finance right now is a significant player in the industry.
I really feel for small businesses at the moment, not just small businesses, even for us. Everyone is feeling this pinch. But of course, like many would say, it's just a step that needs to be taken, because you would understand that the amount paid on subsidy, if it is diverted to something else, that keeps running through my mind. Because see how government is being able to, put money on all of these productive sectors of the economy. Now, my question really to you is that what more do you think government can do to create an enabling environment for businesses so that this issue of the pains from subsidy removal would get away very quickly?
Okay, so I would not necessarily totally agree that subsidy is bad. I won't agree
because the way it's run in our country is the issue.
Okay.
The lapses that we've had regards to, I'm a journalist. I've covered the energy bit for more than 10 years, and I know that something is not just transparent about the transaction with regards to subsidy. Look at the move made just in few months. Countries close to us are selling PMS at close to 1,000 naira. So it shows that something is wrong somewhere. Yes, I'm one of those that believe that the corruption should be handled too. But basically, what can governments do that small businesses will say, heave a sigh of relief?
Okay, so I would give it to this government with some of the steps that they have taken.
Yes.
It's just that those steps don't really result in significant short-term effects on businesses.
I agree with you.
Yeah, so like the tax issue, the suspension of those some of those taxes, I think those would help businesses in the long run. But in the short run, I believe that these funds, we should not just say that these funds will be released. Let us have more details. So in coming days, I'll be expecting to see significant details. You say you would give nano businesses 50,000. When? You say you would increase salaries. When? The reason I'm saying this is that the president's speech is addressing the supply side more. If you give me 50,000 naira and I make more business, I provide more services, I'm able to produce more, who is going to buy it?
If there's no money in circulation.
If there's no money. And so you force businesses to possibly go into this temporary distress pricing. Maybe a good is supposed to be worth 1,000, because I'm afraid that this would perish, I would sell for 800 naira. But still, if there's nobody to buy at 800 naira, it means that they're going to, I'm just accumulating debts. And if I cannot recover my debts after some time, then I'll just lose everything out. So I believe that most of the things that can be done should be timed right now so people know how to plan ahead. The second thing I believe that government should do right now with respect to especially nano businesses and micro businesses, small businesses and medium-sized enterprises they still have a lot of buffer. But nano businesses who are daily oriented, most of them are daily oriented, they need support, and the support should be quicker than what we have right now.
I totally agree with you. For the small and medium enterprises, they still have a little bit of a little bit dogged. They can withstand some of this heat. But what about the use of technology for those ones? Are they taking advantage of technology? COVID-19, during COVID-19, many were working, though we were coming to work. But I know that many were working from home. A lot of people devised other means. And they were making it. Do you think that Nigerians have not shifted away from adopting technology and growing their businesses?
So basically, the issue with technology is that technology is not cheap too. we say that, oh,
agree.
it's everywhere. Everybody has a smartphone, yes.
Dr. Ladile has a point.
But technology is not cheap. More so, when we look at competence level, to use technology, the fact that I have a smartphone does not mean that I can necessarily use it for my business. Developing content, so if I am involved in selling stuff online, to develop content to be able to advertise by myself, it's not easy if you have not been in the field. So I would say that many organizations are adopting technology. I read a report by Keeper about those who use their platforms. You know, they offer all sorts of services. And they mentioned that the use of their technology for bookkeeping processes, inventory management, payments, and all of that is increasing since COVID. But we also know that how would you tell a roadside mechanic, for example, to use Excel to keep track? What does he even know about Excel? Probably we know that there are those who use it, but many of these people don't even have access to those tools to use. And so I wouldn't say that technology would be able to resolve issues for those kind of people, but we know that there are many people that are definitely adopting technology right now to do business, and it's helping them. But competence and affordability are still significant issues.
Very, very significant. Finally, what will be, number one, your outlook? If things continue this way, interventions are felt, what do you think would, or what kind of scenario do you think we would have at the end of the year with regards to small businesses? What sort of life would they be living as we move on to the end of the year? Let me put it that way. That's straight. What are your expectations moving on, and what's your advice to small business owners? The two in one.
Okay, so I would say that my expectation, although I'm an accountant trained to be pessimistic, but I am optimistic that if these policies become strategies, there is the possibility of a good outcome. They look good, although I still have concerns. So, for example, how do you select the 1,300? How do you select the 75 manufacturing businesses? How do you determine who gets 500,000 naira or 1 million naira? And I have concerns around those. But if this is well implemented and it really touches the lives of those who truly need them and not diverted, then I believe that things will begin to get better. 50,000 naira to many people might seem like a small amount, but basically right now, 50,000 naira to someone who needs just 10,000 naira to do his sachet water business, to open a small place where they can make shoes, wonderful. It will be a significant relief for them, knowing that it is a grant. But my fear also with free food is that it might be misused. At the end of the year, that's about 6 months rather, I believe that things will get better if the policies are well implemented. My advice to small business owners, like I mentioned during the last time I was here, is that basically we need to innovate. Things are currently not good, but things can get better. I would not say that we should depend solely on the government 100%. We also need innovation. And you know, necessity has come upon all businesses. So there is this significant need for innovation in the ways that your business process is run. If you need help with reinventing your business process, it's good to reach out. We have a community where you see many mentors are willing to help, especially small businesses, to re-engineer their processes to make them more profitable. We can begin to maximize that. Also, I know that getting into this community might be a difficult one for especially those who are not literate, but I believe that there are stakeholders who should begin to go to those sectors, people who are not necessarily literate, but they have good business ideas and we can sustain them. Secondly, about spending money. Understanding that the money that is coming from the government, though it might be a grant, but you should see it as a loan. So that way, it keeps you on your toes and you know that you're going to refund it in your mind. That way to help your business to grow. And finally, for small businesses, nano businesses, I want to encourage that in your management of funds, understand that there's a difference between profit and revenue. So you make 100,000 in a month, don't think that that is your profit. Be able to identify what is your profit as different from your revenue. I made an example one time. I said, oh, I bought something for 35,000 and I sold it for 50,000. How much is my profit? And my respondent said 15,000. I said, no, it can't be 15,000. Even if you sit in your house and bought that stuff for 35 and sold it for 50, your profit is not 15,000. How about your time? If you had a shop where you were displaying this, you have to make provisions for those. So understanding that profit and revenue are different is significant. Also, understanding the fact that we have what we call your value that you can resell. So if I buy a bag of rice now, today, at 5 naira, or maybe that's a prophecy. If I buy a bag of rice at 5 naira today and I sell it at 10 naira, am I able to buy another bag of rice at that price? Thank you.
It's a good way to live it, Dr. Femi. Thank you so much, business enthusiast with Meristem Securities Limited. Thank you so much. Do enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, there.